Hi everyone, I'm Allie. I'm an internship here at the Lowell Telemedia Company, and you are currently watching the Lowellian. Today we are going to be speaking with Mikaela Hondro-McCarthy of Lowell Sustainability Council on the topic of green energy. So, how are you this afternoon?
I'm great. It's a nice, beautiful day out there.
It really is beautiful.
Yeah, very happy to be here with you.
Yeah. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and the work you do?
Sure. So I am a Lowell resident. I grew up in the Highlands section of Lowell, and I live there now. My background is like finance and accounting. I currently work for a nonprofit, Green Energy Consumers Alliance. I oversee the financial operations and procure renewable energy for them, and do a couple, when you're working for a small nonprofit, you do a lot of different things. Yeah. So I've been there about 6 years now. I absolutely love it there in Boston and Providence. So that's my day job. And then, yeah, I love Lowell. I'm on the Lowell Sustainability Council. I think I've been on it for like 4 or 5 years now. Time just kind of goes by. But yeah, so I am very passionate about preserving our natural environment. I really enjoy being outdoors, and I think it's just really important to do what we can as individuals and communities and, states and countries to help preserve the natural environment and slow the speed of climate change for future generations.
That's definitely a priority I think everyone should have. So can you tell us a little bit more about Lowell Sustainability Council and some of the council's primary functions in the city and community?
Yeah, happy to. So we are a council appointed by the city manager's office. Our overarching goal is to promote citywide sustainability, and that can mean a whole host of things, but the way that we do that is everybody on the council is a Lowell resident. So what we try to do is engage community stakeholders through education and local advocacy, which pretty much means like talking to people, thinking of ideas on how the city can promote sustainability and, encouraging them to support those ideas, sort of proposing them to sometimes the city council, and just like advocating for ways that can move the city forward in that way. I'm a big believer in local initiatives because I feel like that's where we can make and see the most immediate change.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, thinking about Lowell specifically, what are some of like the questions or aspects about sustainability that are unique to like Lowell specifically?
That's a really great question. And you go to UMass Lowell, so I'm sure you have some ideas too. So this doesn't have to be just me spitting out ideas. I love talking to different people from different age groups and backgrounds, so I'm sure you have some great ideas too. But I guess for me, Lowell is a city, I think, we're one of the largest cities in Massachusetts, so we're unique in that way. I think we're like the 5th largest population-wise or something like that. But we're a city that has a really close proximity to rivers and canals. I like to say we're the Venice of the United States. So that, puts us, at risk to, flooding, things like that. We're a city that is very diverse, ethnically and economically. So those two sets of demographics. I think because we're such a big city, we have limited resources. We have a budget and we have, only certain things that we can do. But I do think that we're like uniquely positioned to take advantage of some really amazing opportunities, both in the state of Massachusetts, which is a in my opinion, a leader in climate policy, and federally, I think we're pretty well positioned to take advantages of things like the Inflation Reduction Act and stuff like that. So, and we have UMass Lowell, which you're a student there, which you just told me is one of the leaders in Massachusetts for climate, right?
Yeah, for sustainability.
Which is great.
I know, they're really serious about sustainability.
Yes.
They constantly have like the markets. I know they have roof gardens. They have the Rist Institute. Mm-hmm. Does the Rist Institute, do you know if they ever like work with the official city council? Like I'd imagine they do.
Oh yeah. There's lots of partnership between the city and the Rist Sustainability Institute, and I think as a council in the past, like we've definitely had like some collaboration there for sure. We've had Rory O'Mahony as one of our keynote speakers, or one of our speakers at. We do an annual summit in the fall usually. So there's definitely been. We definitely love highlighting things that the college is doing. To help with it. It's a huge partner of the city in terms of sustainability. So very, very, very lucky to have you all.
Yeah, thank you. Or am I saying thank you?
Well, you're.
I guess I'm a student.
Yes, definitely, Allie.
So you talked about some aspects that are unique to Lowell, but what are some challenges, like specifically in switching to green energy?
Sure. I mean, one challenge I'll say is we're not like Lexington or Concord. I hate when people say Lowell is not Cambridge because we aren't Cambridge, but we're a city with an illustrious university, and we've got beautiful rivers, and there's a lot of parallels between us and Cambridge. But we're not a Concord or a Lexington in terms of like. The Mass Save program is one of the best programs in the country for weatherizing homes and promoting energy efficiency. The what I like to say is the greenest energy, or the cheapest form of energy. This is not just me saying it; a lot of people say it. Is the energy that you don't use. So creating a great seal around your home. For like insulation, making sure all the heat and cooling you're using is staying inside your home, getting well circulated. So Mass Save does a lot to help homeowners weatherize their homes. But places like Lexington and Concord, they are full of single-family homes, and if you're a renter, which a lot of people in Lowell are renters, you can't make those decisions in your home because you don't own the home. So that's a really unique challenge for Lowell, I would say, in terms of green energy. You have it's hard to reach people and have homeowners make their decisions on behalf of their renters. It's the landlord-renter split incentive problem.
Mm-hmm. Like, what are some options for green energy consumption when it comes to consumers? Like, there are very expensive ones, but there are some easier ones that some people might not think about.
Yeah, definitely. There are, one thing I'll definitely mention is the City of Lowell's aggregation program, where if you pay an electricity bill, I don't know, do you have an electricity bill as a student?
Not as a student.
Not as a student, okay. But I guess if you live off campus and you're paying rent in an off-campus apartment, you might have an electricity bill. But anyone that has an electricity bill can make sure that they're enrolled in Lowell's aggregation program, which the city kind of came together and negotiated for their energy supply as a whole, so that anyone that's in the city that's a electricity bill payer, a rate payer, can take advantage of a rate that was locked in for a 2 or 3 year contract. But that rate includes an additional 45% local renewable energy above what's already mandated by state law. So, and it's cheaper. So I just checked before coming on here, the price for the aggregation is 14 cents per kilowatt hour, and the basic service rate that you would otherwise be paying if you weren't on the aggregation is 18 cents per kilowatt hour. So, and you're getting more renewable energy. So that's one thing that lots of people can do.
That's really cool.
Yeah. You know, I will say before I worked where I work now, I really did not pay a lot of attention to energy or my electricity bill much. But since then, it touches everything. It really touches everything. Like when you turn the light switch on, when you put your microwave on, like it touches everything. So making these little decisions, things like energy efficient appliances, you can make a decision to try to look for ones that use less energy. Lots of things, you know, riding public transportation, riding your bike. There's a lot more affordable options now for electric vehicles, with the state incentives now being able to be applied to used vehicles. Those are some things. Do you think any of those sound like things that you could?
I mean, yeah, they seem pretty accessible. Like one of the questions is, it's about options, like if they're more expensive or potentially burdensome for low income, but some of the options you listed seem like they are affordable.
Yeah, that's, you know, there's definitely a challenge to making, I guess, when you're trying to promote a new technology, which it's really not new anymore, right? EVs, electric vehicles, have been around for a long time. Solar panels and renewable energy resources have been available for a long time. But in the beginning, you absolutely have to pay a premium for these things. Now it's really nice to see them becoming a lot more affordable and accessible. There's, you know, the government incentives that really help the adoption towards them. So it's really nice to see people taking advantage of it. The landlord-tenant split incentive is a big thing for weatherization, I think, and I think Lowell is doing a lot to try to make those resources accessible to residents. So that's good.
Yeah, that definitely should be a priority.
Yeah. I would hope. It's a lot of challenges, but
I mean, challenges is how people grow. So
yes,
it's good.
I like that. I like that. Yes.
So I'm wondering, are there any like models of communities that have switched or are phasing into green energy that you would like to point the audience to or like highlight?
Sure. I think that there's a lot. I would love to see the LRTA buy some electric buses. And UMass Lowell. I would love to see UMass Lowell buy some electric buses. I know there's some upfront costs, but I would love to see that happen here. You know, electrifying municipal fleets, I think, is a great idea. Places like Lowell, especially in highly congested areas, if you have buses idling or if you have, you know, big trucks idling, it creates polluted air for people to breathe in, and you know, increases risk of asthma and other sickness. So, and there's studies to prove that. So, especially with like kids, like I would love to see electric school buses, like things like that. And I know it's difficult, but those are a few things.
As a UMass Lowell student, like those shuttles are constantly running from 8 a.m. to, I mean, I definitely know there's less of them starting at 5, but they run until midnight. So there definitely is a lot of exhaustion energy being used from those.
Yeah, and I guess just like little things, right? Like in the winter, when the bus drivers or whatever, truck drivers or in the summer actually too, when they're just sitting there waiting or idling, like you're using a lot, you're using a lot of energy. So there's things like if you had a big bus like that, you would have a big battery in it too. And peak times, especially in the summer or in the winter now, so you have things like heat pumps becoming more popular to electrify heating, especially in the winter. So you see peak demand of energy consumption, which is the most expensive energy consumption, kind of happening after school hours, so like at 5 or 6 or 7 when people get home. So instead of those buses idling and using up air conditioning or heat, you could actually plug in to the grid. And this technology is like still kind of happening, but you could plug into the grid and have it get paid for the energy you're giving back to the grid if the battery was fully charged. So it can be used as sort of what they call a virtual power plant. If you had a bunch of buses plugging in during peak hours, that's when electricity is the most expensive. So we could get paid for having it be like a demand response, and all the other benefits of not putting like diesel gas in children's faces all the time.
It doesn't smell good. It really doesn't.
Or anyone's. Yeah. So things like that, I think, would be cool to explore for sure.
That is really cool, like the whole power grids. I've never heard anything about that, but that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just happening now where some cars are being, I think the new Volkswagen that came out, and a bunch, I think the Ford F-150 Lightning has the capability to have it be a two-way, like you can discharge the battery into the grid. So there's the capability is being rolled out in the vehicles themselves. Just a matter of having the kind of technology progress. But I would love to see the city do something like that.
Yeah, it's really cool. So you spoke about heat pumps in buses. I know that's one thing, but can you expand more about that?
Yeah, heat pumps are actually in buildings. So buildings are the heating in, maybe there's some in buses somewhere.
I thought you meant the buses. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But it's a way of heating and cooling very efficiently using electricity instead of a gas heat source or an oil heat source. You're electrifying your heating system. And I mean, I'll give you an example of my house. There's also, this was before the incentives, but there's also Massachusetts incentives that will reimburse or that will give you a rebate of $10,000 per unit for if you're installing heat pumps to move from oil or gas to heat pumps. So it's a really great way to heat and cool your home. So it's also, but I think it's better than central air because you can use zoning. So it's not like you turn it on and your whole house becomes hot or cold. I have 2 heads on my heat pumps. I live in an apartment that's, got like a living room and my bedroom in the front, and then like a little office and a kitchen and a bathroom in the back. So I have a heat pump in the back and a heat pump in the front, and that's all it takes to heat and cool my entire apartment. And I have solar panels on the roof and like a 10 kilowatt system on the roof, and that pays for my electric vehicle charging. It pays for my heating and cooling of my home. And I didn't get the $10,000 incentive because I installed the heat pumps before that came out, but I got a 0 interest loan. So you can also get a 0 interest heat loan that will cover anything that the $10,000 state rebate doesn't cover. So I think it's a really great way to heat and cool your home. You don't have to put all those window units and consume tons of electricity, because you lose energy with that too if you have like holes on the side of the AC window units. So yeah, I think that it's a great way for people to be more energy efficient, consume less, especially in the summer, I would say. The price of gas is kind of low right now. So to move from a gas heating system to an electric system, you might not see the cost differential as much, but we also don't know what the price of gas is going to do in the future. And as we move towards more, renewable sources of energy into our local grid, like offshore wind and things like that, our electricity will get greener and greener. So adopting heat pumps is a good idea in my book.
Sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, you see them a lot in restaurants. So like it's like a white rectangle that blows hot and cold air. Those are the mini splits. You see them a lot in restaurants.
That's cool. So I was wondering, what are your top 3, media recommendations for getting up to speed on green energy?
So that's a great question. I'll say this program, because you're doing a lot for, you're looking at the Merrimack River and lead contamination and all things that are really important to talk about on a local level. These affect all of us, so we'll do a plug for this program here. I'll do another one for the place I work, Green Energy Consumers Alliance, which is greenenergyconsumers.org. We have a really awesome blog that discusses a lot of the state policies that are really important in shaping, like even the funding that we get as residents in Lowell through the Mass Save program. So I would definitely follow our blog, greenenergyconsumers.org. Lowell Sustainability Council has a Facebook page, so we try to post as much as we can about like local things that are happening, and things that we think matter. Things that we say, oh, this is a cool idea. Like not necessarily like no, Lowell needs to do this tomorrow, but like, what would this look like? I think that's 3.
So I'm thinking like one last question. Is there any big upcoming projects that the council is going to be overseeing or working on?
So we have a few new members, which is really exciting. We are still looking for new members too. So Google Lowell Sustainability Council and the City of Lowell website should pop up where you can learn a little bit more about us and check out our Facebook page. We meet on the 4th Thursday of every month at 6:30 p.m. You're welcome to join us in the mayor's reception room in City Hall. But for goals and like initiatives that we're working on, it's kind of we have some overarching goals. So things like bike mobility. We were looking at heat islands and cooling centers. Energy efficiency projects, solar on municipal buildings, especially the new Lowell High School, the aggregation program renewal, which is up in December 2024. But our role is really to try to bring things as front of mind for the city as we possibly can, and sort of help wherever we can and spread the word around when we can. One of the most recent things we did was really advocate for a sustainability department in the city, which thankfully happened. It's under the it's in the same department as the Department of Public Works, which is great because it makes a lot of the really important day-to-day decisions. So there's a sustainability director there, which we're so lucky to have. I'm sure I missed some things, but yeah, those are some hot things that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming here today on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is great.
So that's all the time we have. We've been speaking with Mikaela Hondro-McCarthy for LTC's The Lowellian, and thank you for watching.